What's up, everybody? Back with one of the final professional picks videos for the NFL season at the very least, as we got our official Super Bowl picks coming out. Big game on Sunday. I'm sure everyone will be watching, and we'll take you through our thoughts and some advanced stats that you might not be seeing from a lot of other people in this video here. As always, like the video, comment your pick, more importantly, and subscribe because this is not the only Super Bowl prediction videos we'll be doing. We got some bets coming in later in the week and a lot of March Madness content coming up as well. Sliwa, it seems like after a week, the line is settled right around this 1.5, maybe a Chiefs +2 if you're on the right book, depending on which line you're on. What do you think just right off the bat before we dive into the stats here?
Yeah, I mean, it feels like a lot of the public is still on the Chiefs. I mean, starting to see some more money coming in on the Niners, I would say in the last couple of days. Feels like it's settling back to even, or people are starting to fall back on some of those biases from the conference championship round games where the Chiefs looked great and the Niners kind of looked like they stole another game. So I think the line's kind of evening out, and I don't really expect it to move too much here, but I do feel like overall people are still generally on the Chiefs, but the Niners are getting a little bit more traction in the last couple of days.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. The Chiefs even got up to +1 at some point. You had that initial inflow of Chiefs bets, and then a lot of the money started to even out with the 49ers, like you said, kind of balancing at this equilibrium point right now. And so I wanted to talk about just looking at both these two teams, their PFF rankings, which we use so much here, and to kind of look at what's happening. We got the Niners as slight favorites at a neutral site. You look at the Pro Football Focus rankings for these teams. First overall, the Niners. First in offense, first defensive ratings. Their coverage unit is elite. Third in the NFL there. Run offense, #1 in the league. Their pass rush with Nick Bosa, third in the league. Passing grade, even with Brock Purdy's 10th in the league. The one thing that might be blocked, I can't tell what you're able to see, their pass rush. That's their pass rush blocking is third in the league. No,
Yep,
pass
yeah,
rush third
pass
in the league,
block.
and their pass blocking 25th, I think is really what will, if anything, the Niners are going to struggle this game. It's going to be because of that pass blocking, which is such a great equalizer. The Chiefs don't have an incredible pass rush unit, but certainly good enough to fare against the 25th ranked unit. Chiefs, it's not going to show up in the stat sheet, even the eighth best team overall according to PFF, although they are in the Super Bowl. Their intangibles really come with Patrick Mahomes not being phased by anything, being able to make just about any throw, and Andy Reid and that coaching staff really being able to pull them out of tight situations here. So, given the stat sheet here, it's really hard to think that the Niners aren't favored by more than just 1.5, 2 points here, as they seem to be better than the Chiefs in just about every aspect of the football game. Yet you still see it so close. Why do you think that is? Why do you think the spread is so close,
Yeah,
given the discrepancy between these two teams?
I mean, it still has to be Patrick Mahomes, and
Mhm.
I mean, you look at, I forget the exact stat, but there was 2 years where Tom Brady took the Patriots to the Super Bowl with a bottom five defense in the league.
Mhm.
So I mean, there's still quarterback play could still cover a ton of holes, and I mean, it's pretty obvious here from these stats. The Niners are a complete team, and the Chiefs aren't, but Mahomes has been able to still get them to this point, and it really just takes a run in the playoffs and just one more game to get the job done here. And I know it's just one aspect of the game, but the pass block could be something to monitor. Chiefs had 4 sacks against the Ravens. I'm pretty sure in that one.
Yeah.
And Karlaftis, Chris Jones. I mean, they should be able to
Karlaftis
get
has
more
been
pressure
playing
on
great.
Brock
Yeah.
Purdy. And I know
Yeah.
Brock Purdy was regular season. I'm pretty sure like had the highest passing grade under pressure, but it hasn't looked like that in the playoffs this far.
He's
Seems
definitely
like
looked a little more flustered, especially against the Packers in that first half against the Lions. He did make some pretty nice plays against some pressure and trying to be mobile outside the pocket. So I was a little bit more impressed with him second half of that Lions game. But there are times when you can start getting guys breathing down his neck that he makes errant throws to open receivers, and something that Mahomes will not do.
right, absolutely. I mean, it was the same case for against the Packers too. That was
Mhm.
another took another second half run, but I feel like I mean the Niners absolutely have it in them, but it's going to take a complete game to beat the Chiefs and Patrick
Agreed.
Mahomes.
Agreed. And like you said, um, took a second half lead there in against both those games, and he played well. Brock Purdy played well in the second half to his credit. So it's easy to kind of dog at him a little bit, but he also has been playing great in the second half of both games in the playoffs. So we'll see. And even despite the fact that the Niners have the edge in just about every single category of the Chiefs, you're still seeing almost over 80% of the bets going to the Chiefs and only 20% on the 49ers, which is so interesting to me. That you get this line teetering and tottering between 1.5 and 2, but the vast majority of the public bets are on the Chiefs. Now, that does not mean that 80% of the money is on the Chiefs. It means that 80% of the bets are on the Chiefs, and that's a big difference. I would have to suspect what's keeping this line towards the Niners -2 is the fact that they probably have some pretty high money, high dollar amount bets on the 49ers. That's my guess. But, it's not often that the heavy public favorite, especially in terms of handle, not just percent of bets, but percent of the handle placed. When it's on this lopsided for the Chiefs, I would have to suspect that someone that has any financial interest in this in terms of Vegas and NFL will be pushing for the 49ers to win. So that's something to always keep in mind too. The thing that comes to mind for me is when the Rams played the Bengals. The Bengals were plus 200 money line, and 60% of the public handle was on the Bengals. That would have been crippling on the biggest game of the year for all these casinos. And you saw at the end of that game, there's some ticky-tacky, little bit of fishy calls going the Rams' way. It's something that does matter, and you cannot convince me otherwise. And it happening on the biggest stage in that game with everyone watching makes me believe that, it could happen in any game against any player.
Yeah,
So
no, I mean,
that's why I
definitely
bring it up.
something to, yeah, not make your bet off of, but always keep it in mind.
Agreed. Totally agreed. And here's something I found really interesting. Looking at the Pro Football Focus point spread rating, which is kind of like war, like baseball war, but for a team. So you're saying on a neutral site, the Ravens would be given them, and against the average team, the Ravens would be given 8.9 points, first in the league. The next two teams are the Niners and the Chiefs. So they're saying that in terms of a point spread, no team would be given more points outside of the Ravens than these two teams in the Super Bowl. And the number next to the quarterback is like that quarterback's war. So Brock Purdy only attributes 3.5 points in the spread for the Niners 7.5 favorite in this game in a neutral site against an average team, where Mahomes is 7. So what this is telling me for the Chiefs specifically, Mahomes is the team. Patrick Mahomes is worth 7 points, and the rest of the Chiefs roster outside of him is worth negative 0.1 points. Whereas for the 49ers, Brock Purdy's going to get you a little bit less than half the way there with 3.5 points. But the rest of that 49ers are so good overall that it's good enough to make them 7.6 point favorites. So, like we talked about here, it really is Patrick Mahomes for the Chiefs, and this stat embodies that. This Chiefs team, according to PFF, is below average outside of Patrick Mahomes. With Patrick Mahomes, they're the third best team in football. It's kind of crazy to think about. And you see that trend follows for the Bills, for the Cowboys there, even for the Dolphins, and surprisingly the Packers too. So you see that really quarterback heavy for the Chiefs, and they're going to have to play some perfect football with Patrick Mahomes, or the rest of these guys are going to have to step up if they're going to win. One thing I want to note here too, strength of schedule here, Chiefs, the fourth highest strength of schedule, with then the Niners 23rd, so bottom 10 in the league. It concerns me a little bit that potentially Brock Purdy hasn't seen enough elite games and elite defenses. Not that the Chiefs are an elite defense, but they have elite players and one of the best points per game defenses in football. Maybe you can make the argument that Brock Purdy hasn't had the experience against something like this season, but he's played long enough where I think that narrative isn't the strongest. But something that if they do lose, I think people will point out.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they'll always keep it in the back pocket. To this point, he's proven himself, and obviously in a position to succeed.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, not obviously, but
He's made it this
shot.
far. He's made it this far. It's hard to keep doubting him. Now, is he a Super Bowl winning quarterback? That's yet to be seen. But for 3.5 points here, they're giving him a higher rating than Jared Goff, same rating as Tua. So, they're giving him some respect, but he's about a Jalen Hurts, Jordan Love quarterback. So we'll see. It was really striking to me that Patrick Mahomes' WAR was higher than the Chiefs' total point spread, which just says what PFF thinks of the rest of this roster, and really speaks to how great Patrick Mahomes is.
Yeah, that's insane. But I mean, at the same time, I mean that Niners team war outside of the quarterback also looks like one of the largest on the board.
Yes, I mean they're one of the best overall teams in the game. And so you talked about, we both mentioned that both these teams got to play flawless games as you usually do to win the Super Bowl. One game, a turnover can and will and has decided it. So I wanted to see what these teams ranked in terms of takeaways and giveaways. This is just on ESPN. So in terms of takeaways, this is good. Your defense forcing turnovers. The Niners are a top 10 team in the league at forcing turnovers, which is obviously going to play in their favor. You can see here, number 7 in the league. 28, just 3 turnovers off of the league high. And then you look at giveaways. This is being sorted from least to greatest, least being good. You don't want to have giveaways in the NFL. Again, Niners in the top 10 in terms of giveaways. I think these guys are the best team outside of the Ravens in terms of turnover margin. That definitely plays in their favor and kind of dispels the theory that maybe Brock Purdy is going to be a huge disadvantage to this team. He's played almost every game this season. And, the giveaways to these 49ers, again, bottom or top 10 in the league in terms of fewest giveaways. And this defense obviously has a knack for creating turnovers. So that's definitely a point in the 49ers' favor. And what's really interesting, Sliwa, is that the script flips for the Chiefs. In terms of takeaways, they are a bottom 5 teams for defense in forcing takeaways, which is kind of surprising given that they have such a great points per game defensively. Again, top 3 in the league in points per game defense, but they're not doing it because of takeaways, which is interesting. And even more interesting, the Chiefs are a bottom 10 team in the league in terms of giveaways. You don't see Patrick Mahomes throwing that many interceptions, but something's going on with this Chiefs team in terms of their wide receivers fumbling. We've talked about that a lot, Sliwa, that this is a bottom 10 team in terms of giveaways. For a team like the Chiefs that isn't forcing too many turnovers and it seems to be giving it away at a pretty high rate, you look at the rest of these teams that are in these giveaways, not many of them are playoff teams here. You got the Bills and Josh Allen has a lot of interceptions, but makes up for his arm. But a lot of these teams struggled this year in great ways. And so not great company for the Chiefs to be in turnovers. Knowing that, I know I just threw a lot at you. Like, did you expect the Chiefs to be in kind of those bottom categories for turnovers? Because that shocked me when I looked into it.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I'm really shocked, honestly, that they perform that badly and just hold on to the ball and also generating turnovers. And I mean, it doesn't matter in this game, but it's insane. The Bills ended with a positive differential with the amount of turnovers.
Yeah,
The defense
the defense is.
definitely
But yeah,
played well.
you see that they're
I mean,
the Chiefs are negative 11 in turnover margin. That is
I would,
shocking for a Super Bowl team.
yeah, I mean, I've been worried about the receivers, been worried about them all year. Really thought it was going to be their issue in the playoffs, but they found ways to overcome it this far. And it's almost at the point, yeah, you're expecting some fumbles more so than Mahomes to make errant throws.
Yeah,
And to that point, I'm almost not as worried about it. It's one of those things where I could easily see the Niners having more turnovers in this game, even
agree.
with dominating the differential. But yeah, I'm still surprised. I wasn't expecting them to be like minus 20 in comparison to the Niners.
Yeah, it's just.
But yeah, but I think also, I mean, you mentioned the strength of schedule earlier.
Mhm.
Niners playing the 23rd race schedule. I mean, Purdy hasn't been forced to make too many tough throws. I feel like we've seen a little bit more in the playoffs. I mean,
Yep.
I've watched a good amount of the Niners, but not as much, or at least as closely as I have during these playoffs. And he's playing better teams, and the pressure's getting to him a little bit more than I've I thought it would impact him. I mean, you're hearing it on Twitter and all this, but I could easily see the Niners having more turnovers in this game.
I
To the
agree.
point where I'm not super worried about it, but it's yeah, it was surprising.
It's
And
surprising,
I
but
think it has to do with I mean, Kansas City's weapons, who we know are generally suspect, but
exactly. And, young running back too with Pacheco. But they're gonna have to figure it out. They cannot afford any giveaways. But to your point with Brock Purdy, he might not have a ton of interceptions in the playoffs so far, but he's had plenty of turnover worthy plays, and that really has concerned me when I watch him. on the field. So given that, Steele, let's make our official picks here. I would like you to go first. I know you, I've been going back and forth all week. I'm interested to see if you're sticking with your original pick or what you like here.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I have to take the Chiefs more so in the sense that, I mean, I would just be upset if they win and I bet against them. If they lose, I feel like I still didn't make the wrong pick going with Mahomes in this game. And part of that's I thought they were going to fall short the last couple of weeks. I haven't done great in these NFL playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but but yeah, I mean the Niners, they're the better football team. But what we've seen over the past decade and even a little bit longer than that is the better quarterback usually comes out on top. Not always, but um, more than 50% of the time, that's still been the case. And I'm gonna get into a little bit more on our prop bet video, but we mentioned it last week too. But I also give the Chiefs the lean on special teams here.
Yep.
I don't know if it could easily not play a factor at all, but I I had Jake Moody on my fantasy football team for a
Yep.
while,
Me too.
and there was weeks he was really disappointing, and he's 3 for 5 these playoffs. I mean, you never know that one missed field goal and a spread that's almost even. He could be the difference in this game.
And especially not just in terms of taking 3 points on or off the board, the momentum swing that comes with a missed field goal and the better field position for the opponent team is immeasurable. And I agree with that. I think that's going to be the big decider of this game. I really am. I said in the first video, I'm on the Chiefs. Like looking at the stats, it's really hard to pick the 49ers. I think that without a doubt, 49ers are a better football team. I think that the 49ers are going to win the first half. What happens in the second half is all going to be, I think it's all Brock Purdy. I think we know what Mahomes is going to do in the second half of the Super Bowl. I think it's all how Brock Purdy responds to it. We've seen Shanahan in 2 Super Bowls now, one offensive coordinator for the Falcons when they lost the Patriots at 28-3 game, and the last time they played the Chiefs. At both points, the Kyle Shanahan's team had leads, one very large for the Falcons in the second half and blew it. I think I'm going to do 2 things here. I'm going to probably bet the 49ers money line. My big bet is 49ers to be winning in the first half and then the Chiefs to win the game. I'm leaning stronger to the Chiefs winning this game than I am, but I do think that the 49ers are going to come out and play their script of football and be more dominant with the better overall talent. But the second half is when teams make adjustments, and that's something that Andy Reid has been historically great at, and Kyle Shanahan has been historically poor at in his career. So I think, like you said, quarterback matters, coaching matters. I like the Chiefs here as well to overcome a halftime deficit, especially, which we'll get to in the
Yeah.
prep too. But I think
No.
we're both on the Chiefs. I think we both know that it's statistically looking pure math play, probably not the best pick, but it's hard to think outside of Eli Manning versus Tom Brady. When is the last time that the far and away worst quarterback has won? And it's not no discredit to Brock Purdy. He's just not Patrick Mahomes. When is the worst quarterback, significantly worst quarterback, won the Super Bowl? It's I can think that Peyton Manning versus Cam Newton, but that was like with the elite defense. I think that the Niners have an elite defense, and Brock Purdy is certainly playing better than Peyton Manning did that season. So it's possible, but it's really hard to do.
Yeah, I mean, and you're going up against Mahomes, this guy who's got a chance to make a run at Brady's legacy, and he's in his prime right now. So
Yeah. Oh, he's
it
dealing.
it is a little bit more anecdotal, but I'm Travis Kelce. He's been having a great playoffs. Didn't have at par of his regular season, but he's getting up there. He's 34. I mean, he's not gonna let one of these slip. It's his first one with Taylor Swift, so maybe
Taylor
his
Swift stuff
last.
has to factor in here, man.
I'm kidding. That's a
It
joke,
has to. It has
but
to, dude. It does in some
but
point.
it is towards the end of his career. I mean, he knows like all these ones matter, and you're not going to get opportunities like this every year.
Exactly. All right. So the official pick, the professional picks, the unanimous decision for Chiefs to win this game. Might as well take them +1.5. My real bet. If you do think the Chiefs are going to win this game, don't bet them money line. Don't even bet them +1.5. Just bet Patrick Mahomes money line. I think there is almost no chance that the Chiefs can win this game without a Patrick Mahomes MVP type performance. And I think that at plus 130 is how you ride the Chiefs in this game.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But we'll get back to you guys later in this week with our official bets. Over under. We'll reiterate this Chiefs pick, MVP, everything you could possibly bet. Gatorade color, coin toss. We got it all for you coming soon. Sliwa, I think this is gonna be a good Super Bowl for us. We're on the right side of at least the quarterback and coaching play being on the Chiefs.
Yeah, no, looking forward to it, Woj.
All right, we'll talk to you guys later. Best of luck in the Super Bowl. May you win lots of money.